G'day and welcome back to Torment, Tides of Ranmenera. We made it to the heart of the bloom. We even have a rank up ready to go. I think we are basically, yes, we are at tier 5, which I don't think was actually a tier we could get to previously. So we've got a number of different options. We have successive attack. Right, so I mean 2 points remaining. Frankly, the things here are not ones that I'm that fussed about. So what I'm thinking is I'll get Targeting Eye, makes it easy to hit things. I'll get Unstoppable Force, means we do a bit more damage. These things are fine, like they do stuff. Oh wait. That's because I'm not thinking things through. I had for some reason been thinking that blue meant passive. It doesn't. So, Hedge Magic will allow us to succeed on a quick fingers or smashing task. That is quite useful because we suck at smashing at the very least. Adaptation I don't care about. Quantum Step would have been really useful in the last fight. Gravity Manipulation basically allows us to get rid of things. And Maelstrom. Yeah, let's grab Maelstrom. That all sounds fun. Or Mind Control. On hit. Yeah, but Mind Control is limited in the number of uses we can use, and it doesn't apply to non-combat things. Hedge Magic and Maelstrom. It's a deal. Do we get anything else? On this? Like... Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, fine. And now, what I'm going to do, obviously, now we're in the Bloom's Heart, is to use the Marecaster that I can use, that I haven't used yet. So you withdraw the Marecaster from your bags, and the nagging, insistent thirst of the device's former owner tugs at you, scratching your skin. Inspect the Marecaster. Whispers rise from beneath the thirst. Thoughts trapped not by the device itself, but by the maze of addiction faithfully carved within the hollows of the Marecaster. One drink, one taste will help me think. Why suffer? Why shouldn't I have what I want? I want this. I deserve this. You lift one hand from the device, the thoughts fade into irritable muttering. Enter the mare. The first... Ah, nice. You get that whispering? The first thing you notice is a stifling heat. The dry air feels like it's sucking the life right out of you. You stand in the middle of a crowded street. An enormous blue dome towers in the distance. Over the crowded clay and sin steel buildings, the dome shimmers as the sunlight dances across its surface. Dark men and women jostle past you in brightly coloured robes, kicking out dust clouds as they go. The dust glitters gold and silver, but it's just dust, and it's making you cough. A beggar sits at your feet, her robes far grungier than those of the crowd. Looks like we are at Mra-Jola, which is the watery globe in the center of the desert, which was originally going to be the second hub before they expanded the bloom. The beggar is a thin, gaunt young woman, her skin reddish-brown from what looks like constant sunburn, her hair bleached almost white, her eyes green with bluish tints. The light reflects on a smooth, polished metal band around her throat. Coin for knowledge, she chants rhythmically in a pleasing voice, rocking gently. Coin for pity, coin for song. She sees you staring. I know you, she says, her normal voice almost as melodious as her chanting. She points at the side of your head. I've seen that tattoo and that uniform. You're one of the lords of the Endless Battle, aren't you? A cast-off. What business could you have with the Oasis? Try to remember whose life you're in now. Your accoutrements jog your memories. His name is Rhys Folk, an officer of the 1st Militia. A patch was torn from his uniform, suggesting he's actually a former officer. He was exiled for refusing to murder the innocent cast-offs at Padge's orders. It was cruel, and not the kind of thing he wanted to be remembered for. He was shocked that Padge would even suggest it. He never did get a satisfactory answer from her as to why. Several ornaments hang from your belt. A metal hand, an electronic eye, a dead power core. They're trophies. Rhys's specialty is battling constructs and automatons. These ornaments are a source of pride for him. I was exiled for refusing a direct order from my commanding officer. Her eyes widen. What a fascinating story. You might be just the kind of person I'm looking for. I desperately need help, and your particular background is ideally suited. She beckons closer and leans into your ear. I need your help. to sneak into the oasis. Why do you want to get into the oasis so badly? You want a story? No, of course you don't. Here's a short, bittersweet version then. She touches... You see this? She touches the metal band around her throat. I acquired it some time ago when I used to live in Seeker's Cliffs. But I can't say what compelled me to wear it, but... She laughs at her own foolishness. I did, and it gave me the most beautiful singing voice, and as an odd bonus, the ability to breathe water. I began to go by the name Tide Singer. But what is a blessing without its curse? Mine is an overwhelming urge to immerse myself in water. I need it. I ache for it. She squeezes her fists until her knuckles become white. I came here hoping to move into the oasis, but their immigration laws are quite strict. I can sing for money here in Jabbar, spending a day in Mirage when I have enough scraped together, but it's not enough. I need more. Why do you need to sneak into the oasis? First time to Marzala, I see. Yes, I have to sneak in. For a handful of shins, I can play tourist for a day, and believe me, I do, whenever I can. But I need to live there, to be part of their waters. But the Gibbers make it difficult. They fear what blending the cultures might do, so they place heavy restrictions on who can emigrate. They patrol the borders and monitor the air skin bracelets sold in Jabbar. They must have connections on money. You must have connections on money for them to let you in. I have neither. However, if you can avoid their patrols and breathe without a bracelet, as I can, then it is possible. I have a Gibber friend who says it's more trouble than it's worth for them to seek out every illegal air breather who slips through their net. It's only the nets that's the problem. So, do you have a plan? She pats the ground next to her and waits till you're sitting down. The tour groups are our way in. The Gibber guards will let anyone pass with a guide. The problem is, the guides stick to you like, well... She searches for the right metaphor, then lets a handful of sand sift through her fingers. Well, like dust. Except at the menagerie. It's like an underwater museum, but it's so crowded that guides simply hang out at the entrance. So we enter Mirage with the group, then slip away and hide ourselves in the menagerie until nightfall. This is the tricky part. The menagerie is guided by a demon, an automaton from a prior world. She playfully flicks a construct's eye hanging from your jacket. But I suspect you know a thing or two about dealing with those, don't you? With your skills, we should be able to sneak past it, no problem. Sounds dangerous. What's in it for me? I thought you'd never ask. You were kicked out on the endless battle on the first side, if I'm not mistaken. You'd be amazed at what you can hear on the streets of Jabbar. I know a thing or two, including something very interesting about your militia that's worth the risk. Besides, what have you got to lose? Alright, I'll help you. Thank you, thank you. For a man of your skills, this will be easy, I promise. Get what you need, I'll meet you at the gates in an hour. Then she gets up and practically floats away. Finding the gates of the oasis is simple. All roads radiate from the dome like a hub. The air is cool and fresh near the bubble. This close, the waters appear to rise perfectly vertically. You strain your neck trying to see where they disappear. An energy net shimmers just inside the waters, open only at a single point, where several Gibra, armed with barbed, glowing spears, scrutinize every air breather who attempts to enter. Those with bracelets and tour guides are allowed to pass, the rest are turned away. Neme suddenly slaps an air skin bracelet on your wrist. You feel a slight tingle, but nothing more. She points to a group of Jaboans ready next to a smiling Gibra. Ready to go? Ready? Let's go. Stepping into the oasis is surprising. There's no shield or force holding the waters. You walk into them like you might walk into the sea. Once inside, the tour guide takes you all over the massive city, through the sunken market, an underwater park, the government square. Neme was right. She doesn't let you out of her sight once. You arrive at the menagerie. It's just as crowded as the Neme said it would be, filled with creatures and curios, as though it can't decide whether it's a museum or zoo. It's almost overwhelming, and you don't know what to do at first. What to look at first. Remember why we are here, she says as she holds your arm. Okay. So, examine the amulet on the pedestal in the center of the foyer. It's an amulet made of several concentric circles. A thick cord is attached to the outer circle that does not appear to pass through the other rings. The circles are just hovering in the center of each other. A plaque on the pedestal says it's the talisman of Skorgil. Myth says it belonged to the legendary Baji, believed a prophet of Nikol by the Gibra and a deity by some Jaboans. Its true origins are unknown, but it's belonged to the Giash, the ruling council of the Oasis, for several centuries. Okay, examine the dangerous looking water creatures. The plaque calls them lorubs. They're twice as long as a man is tall, with 2 front flippers and a narrow tooth-filled mouth. They hum an odd dissonant tune to each other as they swim by. Neme seems entranced by it. Must be some invisible field between you and them, because they stay back from the onlookers. There's a pocket of air about 2 meters above your head. A few tourists are floating there, are tossing in treats they've purchased, which the lorubs snap up greedily. Their habitat resembles rocky shoals with several holes and hollows for lorubs to hide in. Check out the imprisoned fire creatures. These creatures are kept in a cell of air. The ground is black like obsidian, with glowing red nodules here and there. The air in the cells shimmers like a summer day, though you can feel no warmth from where you are. The plaque says these creatures are commonly called fire wights or flame souls, though they are made of neither fire nor spirit. Aeon priests call them Nakals. The creatures feed on water and the life force of living creatures, says the plaque. In their natural habitat, they can control and shape magma into impossible architectures. They see temperatures, not lights, so the tourists are nearly invisible to them. Despite what the plaque says, you are certain they are watching you. Take a closer look at the construct near the door. The construct's armor is pitted and scarred, bursting with metal thorns on all sides. Instead of arms, it has long, killing blades sharpened to a gleaming edge. It appears to be inactive, completely oblivious to you or anything in the menagerie. A feeling of intense loathing rises unbidden as you look upon it. These are not your feelings, you realize, but a visceral response to the person whose body you're in. Let's watch the crowd of tourists. Scores of tourists meander through the menagerie's corridors. The vast majority of them are human, but there are several Gibra and other water-breathing races as well. A soft current seems to carry them from one exhibit to the next. You can feel the pull of the current yourself, though it's trivial to resist. One tourist hovers to one side, dressed in colourful robes and seemingly more interested in the tourists themselves. His gaze moves back and forth across the exhibits, but never on any exhibits themselves. Of course, he's simply doing what you are. What is his reason for observing? Let's talk to the robed figure who's watching the other tourists. Oh wait, perception. Seeing the robed tourist, you scrutinize the other tourists even more carefully, wondering if any others are observing more than the exhibits. But a robed figure appears to be the only one. But you notice something. None of the tourists, not even the robed tourists, are looking up. Even the Gibra treat the menagerie so filled with air, its occupants restrained by gravity. Looking up, you notice a shadowed crevice high above, hidden above the stone structural supports. It looks just big enough for 2 people to hide in if you could get there without being noticed. Talk to the robed figure who's watching the other tourists. This tall, thin man appears to have glowing runes orbiting his head. He wears dark, finely embroidered robes and a short cape, primarily made of blues and purples. He seems intent, but you can't quite discern You can't quite discern about what. When you gain his attention, it feels almost as if he's mentally cataloguing the details of your appearance. He glances at Neme, the beggar and the cast-off. What is it you'd ask of this one? I notice you're watching the tourists and not the exhibits. Why? Our answer is the same as yours, Seeker. You wish to free yourself from those who watch. He glances at the doorway where the Gibra tour guides talk among themselves while the tourists enjoy the menagerie. This one is a Dusk Watcher Lamed, and I the Brotherhood of the Chronicle. It is our purpose to witness and record pivotal events in history. We believe one such event is soon to occur, but alas, this one fears the event will be missed. The curators of this place are ever watchful. What event are you waiting to witness? We cannot speak of the event itself. This one's purpose is to observe only, not to alter. Suffice to say, it is tragic, or will likely be so. However, it plays out. Its effects will ripple throughout history. This one must observe, yet the window of opportunity is closing. He shuts his eyes, creating new wrinkles on his face. You seek to hide yourselves till nightfall. This one seeks the same. This one knows of a way we can hide together with little risk. In exchange for this information and your willingness to hide with this one, the Brotherhood permits this one to answer a single question. Okay. Tell me about the Brotherhood of the Chronicle. One has already explained. We'll try to do it again. Okay. Let's go with... Why would I want you to answer a question? Yeah, I will observe and then relay it through the brain to the hands for transcription. Yeah. The records of the Brotherhood are extensive. We are capable of answering any question within our records, and are even able to predict the cost of events over the short term. The answers of the Brotherhood can be of great value. Alright, work together if you can answer one question for me. How can the sorrow be stopped? Neme looks at you strangely, obviously not understanding your question. Yamid is nonplussed. He closes his eyes and then, in thought, then opens them. We know of the sorrow, though its forging was long before the foundation of the Brotherhood. There is nothing in our records that could indicate what could stop such a creature. Forgive us, you may ask something else. Will Neme be able to stay in the oasis? I cannot predict whether this night will succeed, but that depends on the choices you make. But yes, if Neme survives this night, then it is very likely she will find a home here. Her plan is a wise one, and the Gibra are unlikely to care. To aid in your success, this one has information on your current task. The Lorab's cell is large, with several places for us to hide until nightfall. Unfortunately, the Lorabs themselves would destroy any air breather foolish enough to step into the habitat. You have a gift, however, Neme. Your Numenera enables you to match any pitch and timbre. Listen to the Lorabs. You'll find that emulating their song is enough to leave you alone. If you hide in there, this one will see and find a way to join you. This one is grateful for any assistance you choose to provide. Farewell for now. So examine the Lorabs again. And then... no, let's not do that. Take a stroll around the entire building to see... Okay, the menagerie is much larger than it looked from the entrance. There are several smaller curios and cells located everywhere, including all the way at the back. There's even a cell that the plaques say was once used as a prison for air breathers who broke Marjola's most sacred laws. The cell is filled with air, it's empty and dark, and would make a perfect place to hide if you could gain access. There's a hatch that leads into it, tucked away at in a dark back hallway, but the hatch is made of thick, heavy synth steel. You'd have to break the latch to get in. Okay, try to unlock the hatch. Right, we would need to use up most of our speed doing so. Let's do that. The lock is complex, nothing like a human's ever built, but after working at it for several minutes, you hear a satisfying click from within the door. Latch turns and you shove it open. You and Neme slip into the surprising warm air of the cell and close the hatch behind you. It's just a matter of waiting till nightfall. Hours pass, tourists and tour guides leave one by one. The guides don't seem to keep track of who they brought, acting only as chaperones for tourists who wish to return. The remainder are accompanied out at sunset. Why did I say nightset? The menagerie is dark and empty. Sunlight that's been filtering in from translucent rocks in the ceiling is now gone. Only a few fish and rocks still lighten the gloom. You emerge from your hiding place, moving as quickly as possible, but as soon as you reach the main corridor, a metallic voice carries from the direction of the front entrance. Did you think I would not see, would not know? You will die here tonight. Okay. You see the demon around the corner. It's a construct bristling with spikes and blades. It doesn't seem to have seen you yet, but it knows you're here and is blocking the exit. You have a beam lance bracer on your forearm, but you suddenly wonder if that will be enough. Try to blind the demon with the beam lance. You aim the beam lance at its head, focusing on the vulnerable optic nerves. You exhale and squeeze your fist, triggering the beam. It strikes the demon directly in the face. The demon's head snaps backwards. When it returns, its face is charred, the eyes dim. Do you think I need to see to kill you? Come here. Attack the demon with the beam lance. You take it, it wounds it, but not enough to slow it down. It zips through the water towards you. Without its optic senses, it's easy for you to get out of the way. So, let's attack the demon again. It doubles over, small shards of metal gleaming, dancing away in the dark water. When it comes back up, there's a gaping hole in its armor. If you're lucky, one more shot will finish it off. It zips past, and so then, there we go. Aiming carefully, you fire again at its lower torso. The beam explodes with a blast of light and heat, firing into, then through the demon's body. It's flung backwards through the water, slamming into the wall behind. Its eyes dim and it goes silent. With the demon destroyed, there's nothing between you and the exit. You swim out in the cool, liquid night. Stars and full moon shimmer above you outside the dome of the oasis. Shadowy mountains rise in the far distance at the edge of the valley. Below you, the rest of Mirajola is a black expanse. Neme snaps off her bracelet and breathes in the water. She says, her voice even clearer now without the airskin. She puts her hand on your cheek and whispers, I owe you. More than you know, but it's not much. I know something that might help you. Your commander, Pajrekan, is not what she seems. There's someone else pulling the strings above her. It's all I have to give you. I'm sorry, maybe you can use it somehow. She darts forward and kisses you on the cheek, then she swims off into the inky black. You make your way down to the surface. As you do, you notice two shadowy figures flying through the water above you. The moon's reflection shines on them for a moment, and you catch a glimpse of two cast-off tattoos and an artificial eye. Mazov? The figures disappear into the menagerie. Any thoughts of following them are quickly snuffed out as something tugs painfully at your gut. Within seconds, Marjola fades away for good. That was cool. Definitely enjoyed that, even if it did take all of my speed.
Such single-mindedness.
Okay. I don't care. Let's use some of these.
A compliment. If that's how you want to take it, then yes.
And let's just regain a bit of the old speed. And then let's go talk to this Abacus, I guess.
I'm ready.
As you see ahead, you see a mass of bloom tongues, bigger than any you've ever encountered thus far. They wave gently, as if beckoning you forward. Your companions hesitate, looking to you. Have any insight, Callistege? I'm usually one for experimentation, but there's no telling what it will demand of you, child. Look at me and tell me if you'd want this fate. Yours could be well worse. Know what you're willing to sacrifice. That's my advice to you. How many of my sisters would I give for myself? Do I dare think that way? Any advice, Matkina? This thing has destroyed the lives of more people than you've ever met. It's a predator. Whatever you do, stay in control. Resist it. Show it you're strong, otherwise it will swallow you whole. Probably swallow her. Anyway, she's come far. What are you thinking, Eridus? Thinking? Nothing, but this is the greatest adventure a hero has ever invented, isn't it? Will you go with me, Eridus? Are you kidding? I was going to ask you to follow me. Yes, attack this. Let's attack this beast in its wiggly bits. Alright, let's do this. Before you looms a twisted mass of tubes, arteries, roots and tongues, heaving and pulsing in the murky light. The flesh glimmers with foul shades of purple, black, and pocked with pustules and necrosis. Bloom whispers gather, swarming around you like fat buzzing flies. They sound distracted, confused. As you step closer, the bloom tongues surround you, drawing you into a wet, nauseating embrace. Though they seem solid and corporeal, they somehow pass through your flesh, thrusting into your head, your limbs, your guts, igniting prickly hot sensations all over your body. The multitude of bloom voices chitter and babble, clearly alarmed by your intrusion, but unable to muster an attack upon your mind. For the moment, the feeding of the Abacus has made them tired and weak. Oh wow, I can do that. Infiltrate the bloom's mind. Slowly, carefully, you extend your thoughts into the tubes and conduits of the heart, gently testing your ability to contract a muscle here or widen an artery there. You can hear the bloom voices all around you, but they don't seem alarmed. Either they don't sense you at all, or they don't perceive your intrusion as a threat. As you explore the limits of the new perceptions, you begin to understand the heart's composition. The fleshy nodules that serve as sensory organs, the tubes and arteries to feed the intelligence that dwells here, the roots of innumerable whispering minds that descend to this spot from every corner of the bloom, tangling together to join their forces in a mad, chaotic union. So, examine the bloom's memories. Floating unnoticed on the bloom's innumerable voices, you allow yourself to drift further into its mind. As the voices whisper among themselves, you begin to see brief images, hear sounds, and feel hunger or satiation. These are its memories of the past. Screams echo in your ears as men and women are pulled into moors, their thoughts and personalities devoured, or simply altered, scrambled, changed into monstrous forms. You see limbs torn from bodies by eager bloom tongues, eyes plucked out so tendrils gently slide into their sockets to reach brains. For a moment you see Gristler, the bloom guide, trapped in the brace of the moor. You can taste the raw flesh of his legs as the moor tears them off and devours him. You know in that moment the bloom will eat him again and again, reveling in the taste of his undying fate that it will provide for him. A fate that's so ill-founded. And everywhere you see and hear the Memavira, flashes of her early days, gathering followers to overthrow the old Memavira, or publicly pledging her loyalty to him, her rebellion against him, as she slaughtered his people and dragged him down to the heart, binding him so the tongues could feed upon him slowly, and all the years of her ruthless rule. In that time she's never changed, her face is now as it was when the bloom first saw her. Drift even deeper into the bloom's memories. All around you, whispers and chitters yield to more alien sounds, clicks and gurgles, dissonant tones. The memories change with them. Monsters stalk the corridors of the bloom, gelatinous hulks with flickering letters and numbers writhing beneath their skin, multi-limbed machines with legs that skitter through 100 dimensions at once, godlings formed from city-killing detonations with voices of fire and smoke and screams. Flashing before your eyes are all the worlds the bloom has seen, in their hundreds of thousands. You can sense a city creature crawling across time and dimensions since the universe was young, perhaps longer. Its voice is changing, its flesh adapting, its senses changing. Your mind begins to hurt. You're barely able to comprehend the sensory impressions that are contained within the most distant memories. Fighting back the urge to scream, you disengage your mind at last, allowing yourself to drift slowly back to the surface of the bloom's mind. And yet, even with that brief exposure, your senses have broadened, and you are better able to comprehend the impossible. Not even your sire dared to gaze so deep into an alien mind. Observe the heart as a biological system, and watch for patterns. For a time you listen carefully to the booming pulse of the heart, and observe both its physical movements and its internal sensory experiences. Your knowledge of natural science provides a useful framework, though the bloom is unlike any creature you or your sire have ever examined. Unlike the heart of a normal creature, which pumps blood through the body, the bloom's heart draws fluid to itself. These fluids are thoughts and memories, no doubt stolen from the victims of the bloom, rendered into physical form. They feed the innumerable intelligence that coalesces here, knitting them closer together, strengthening the greater intellect of the bloom. To placer these fluids, you suspect the heart would be weakened considerably. And the bloom voices... You attend closely to the innumerable voices, chittering and whispering in the darkness of the bloom's mind. Your general impression is that of many minds, many intelligences that are part of a shifting whole, but you cannot be sure of anything other than that. Okay, let's try to take control of the arteries that lead into the heart and give this thing a heart attack. Taking great care to avoid detection, you slip your thoughts into the tubes and arteries, assuming control of them. You already know these tubes feed the intelligences that coalesce here. If you choose to contract all the hearts at once, you would deprive the whole heart of energy. Let's try and take control of the sensory organs around the heart. Again, we are just too good at this. Quietly, cautiously, you extend your consciousness into the bloated little sacs that quiver on the surface of the heart and within its many conduits. If you wished, you could put them into a sort of slumber that would make it harder for the bloom to sense your presence. Which we'll do. And then we will close off the tubes and arteries that feed the heart. You gradually constrict the arteries, halting the flow of fluid to the heart. Something burbles irritably within the heart, like indigestion on a grand scale. Bloom voices chitter listlessly, but they don't seem to notice what's happened, probably because you already deadened the heart's sensory organs. Such the bloom's thoughts for the abducted scholar Ishin. While your thoughts are joined to the bloom's, you can almost understand its voices. A whisper will spark a fleeting image in your mind's eye, a hiss will elicit a flash of anger or desire, or some alien emotion you can't even comprehend. As you listen and watch, you see occasional images of a vague human figure. When you focus on them, you try to hold them still. You see an isolated pocket of flesh, a cyst filled with thick black juices, which the man floats, curled up like a fetus. The cyst is wrapped carefully in fleshy tendrils of knotted muscle, watched closely by tiny chittering minds that were spawned for that exact purpose. Try to gain control of the fibers. Easy. No worries, mate. Moving slowly and cautiously, you follow the faint whispers of the tiny chittering minds that watch over Ishin. They're not far from the heart, centered around a foul little cyst, just as you suspected. When they sense your approach, they squeal in alarm, but you overwhelm and silence them. You sense the remains of a transdimensional rift in the sift, probably the same rift the bloom used to capture Ishin in the first place. It should be possible to reopen the rift and set him free, but the bloom will know when you do. Reopen it. Set him free. You whisper softly to the rift, and it begins to take shape. Bloom voices shriek in alarm, with the arteries constricted and his senses, the sensory organs deadened. The bloom can do nothing to stop you. You feel Ishin vanish from the foul little cyst. In the same moment, the air in the chamber ripples, a transdimensional rift tears itself into being, and a human figure topples out, dripping black juices, coughing and gagging, vomiting on the floor. You recognize a man at once. It's Mazov, the cast-off artificer you met in Zarian Daywalker's mare. Your first thought is that the bloom has somehow released the wrong man, but no, the Memavira deceived you. Ishin is Mazov. For the moment, Mazov is recovering from his ordeal, yet barely aware of his surroundings. He hasn't even seen you yet. Stay focused on the heart. Whoops, sorry. The bloom tongues are still stubbornly attached to your body. The bloom voices make a final violent foray into the depths of your mind, and a memory surfaces. You stand with a woman on a circle of gold, the clear sky and blue, the sky clear and blue above you. Mielavest. The woman is well known to you, the same one who helped you choose this spot years before, the same woman who built this enclave with you, together. Her face has changed, ravaged by time. The flesh is rotting away, exposing glistening muscles beneath. She turns away from you as if to hide her ugliness. Not even your handiwork is proof against time. No, Maralel, I have no way of fixing you, but you need not live in shame. You present her with a mask, its expression enigmatic, decorated with intricate patterns of gold. A pretty thing, she says, unable to hide the bitterness in her voice. I can just as well wrap my face in bandages or cover my head with a sack. She places holds a mask you gave her. Put it on, you hear yourself say. She places the mask over her flesh. At once it seems to meld with her flesh, and her face becomes that of a lovely young woman. Her eyes widen, knowing that something has changed, and you hold up a looking glass for her to see. She laughs aloud, a sound you haven't heard from her in years. You can change your face at will. Try it. Maralel nods, watching the looking glass carefully as her face morphs into that of an old woman, then a homely beggar lady, then a Vargellan, then a dozen more. The last face you see is dark-haired, regal and bearing. It's the face of the Memavira. It's accompanied by a distinct sense of hunger from the bloom. The memory fades. The heart offers no explanation for why it showed you this memory, but the implication is clear. The Memavira is merely a disguise, a mask that conceals the first cast-off. She's been alive, hiding behind a false identity, for years. The bloom tongues slide painlessly out of your body, setting you free. They show no further interest in you, and the whispering voices are gone from your mind.
I feel better.
So, Mazov, we'll talk to you next time.